What is going on, Guardians, and welcome back to another Destiny gameplay video. Hey, in this video I just wanted to share some of my thoughts that have been circulating around my brain recently. Just kind of asking the question, what's lacking right now in the Crucible? What is it lacking that can really make it just shine? And it has had glory days, it's had sort of dark ages. I don't think the period that we're in right now is like all that terrible or anything. I still love this game and I have a butt ton of fun playing it. But that doesn't mean that it's perfect. And what's it lacking if we want it to be at the peak of its of its existence here? Well, here's some of my thoughts. I think that one of the first things that is a glaring issue for me is the lack of diversity. There's honestly just way too many clear choices when it comes to what weapons and loadouts you're going to use, and also when it comes to subclasses. I think that we have decent balance right now in subclasses, but there are some major changes that I would like to see take place in order to bring some of the ones that are least used up. I think, I won't go into detail, but if I were just to say one thing, why did we nerf gunslingers again? Can we get those back? So I know they looked at some papers, some stats, and they when we said, why did you do this, they gave us a little bit of a graphic that kind of showed, hey, well, gunslingers had some of the highest KDs in 6v6. Well, it's a really limited place to draw data from, just a 6v6 playlist. I think that, well, sure, it's a roaming super golden gun. When you get that up, that's, gunslingers may have a tendency to have a higher KD just because of the nature of their ranged, super accurate, roaming super. You can get at least 3 kills out of, sometimes even more, depending on how you are spec'd. But anyways, let's buff those back. But anyways, yeah, so there's just not a lot of diversity these days. Sometimes you get into these lobbies where people are using some different stuff, and it's a lot of fun. But for the most part, I'm running predominantly into the exact same weapons and the exact same loadouts and all that stuff pretty consistently in this game right now. It's just kind of not fun sometimes. It's like, well, here we go, it's another triple Matador lobby. And I'm not saying anything about the Matador, I'm just saying that there's no diversity, and that bothers me sometimes. I didn't queue up Matador's only playlist. I didn't queue up the user Matador as a primary playlist. That's not what I was after. And, for one game, sure, whatever. But to have it pretty consistently, it's just kind of like blah, This isn't what I, fell in love with. So that's one thing I would say. Let's get some more diversity. I think that diversity comes with balance. I think those two things go hand in hand. So we need to there's plenty of feedback out there right now as to how we can achieve some better balance in the Crucible. So I'm not going to go into detail on that, but that's certainly one of the things we need, some diversity. Balance is the thing that brings that. So moving on, another thing that I would see is consistently good lobbies in terms of connection. I don't know if it's just me or what. I'm an optimist. I always try to see the good in things. But man, lately, there's consistently red bars in lobbies, like consistently. And it's kind of frustrating. You go on a really nice kill streak, and you're one away from a nice 15 kill streak, or one away from a nice montage clip, and the last guy you try and shoot at is teleporting everywhere, and suddenly you just fall over. You went from full health to dead, and you're like, what the French toast just happened to me? You know what I mean? Consistently good lobbies in terms of connection is a big thing for me. Now, as far as the skill-based matchmaking goes, I don't care. I don't care about the skill-based. I don't mind skill-based matchmaking as long as the connections are good. I don't need to consistently pub stomp, like get into lobbies where I can just run over people and pretend like that's balanced and good. That's not what I'm after. I don't mind getting paired up against highly skilled people more often than not. Like, that's cool. I'm fine with that. I don't need to pub stomp all day, every day, all the time and pretend like, hey, everything's hunky-dory, because that's not balanced. That's not good matchmaking. I'm just ruining someone else's experience is what's happening, and I'm trying to pretend like it's a good thing when it's not. So I don't mind skill-based matchmaking. I really don't. I just want good connections. So whatever we got to do to make that happen, I know there's a lot of feedback floating around out there as to how we can make that happen. But I don't care how it happens, but it needs to happen. I want green bars more often than not. I want full green bar lobbies more often than I don't. And I feel like that's not the case. I'd love to do a case study. Maybe it's just like when it happens, it's so bad that you feel like it's more consistent than it is. I'm not sure. But I'd love to just pull some data, maybe some anecdotal, do a full day of playing and kind of pull my lobbies and see what those connections are. Sometimes they're green and they shouldn't be. They're clearly lagging and it says they got a green bar and you're like, what? I don't understand this. But either way, that's another thing. We need consistently lethal weapons. You know, so many times we're like, what happened to my gun there? Like I aimed, I pulled the trigger, and I heard the sound and nothing happened. Like, I don't know if it's latency but that happens a lot and it's kind of frustrating. So we just need weapons that are consistently lethal. And the same thing goes with primaries, especially, that they can just consistently kill when you're pulling the trigger and putting shots into people. Last thing I would say that the Crucible needs right now is a healthy dose of sportsmanship. Quite frankly, people ruin this game too much. Like, people they send hate mail and they bag for no reason, and you may be like, hey, teabagging's fine. Well, you know, you can have your own thoughts about teabagging, but when you get teabagged by the guy who's just using the crap out of the meta, he just rushes you with a jug shotty, and you know, you hit all your shots and they don't die, and you really didn't do anything wrong. And the guy just got a kill on you because he tanked all your shots and mapped you with a Metador. And then he starts bagging, and then he sends you messages afterwards and screenshots you and tags you and sends it to all his friends or whatever. You know, that just happens a lot. Like, there's just a lot of scummy people in the Crucible. If you were in the habit of sending hate mail, if you're in the habit of just bagging people when you kill them, if you're just in the habit of screenshotting people and talking crap, I would tell you that you're being extremely selfish, extremely nearsighted. And quite honestly, you're worse than imbalance in the game, in my opinion. Because what you do when you do that is you ruin someone else's experience of the game. You just show very clearly that you really don't care for the game and for the community. The only thing that matters to you is yourself and your own personal enjoyment. And you know, it's cool to enjoy the game, but when you start ruining other people's experience and kind of making them, you know, what you're doing, honestly, is you're encouraging them to turn their console off. Just pull the game out, maybe put something else in. And that's not good for the game. It's not good for the community. When you start ruining other people's experiences, you're just being selfish, and quite honestly, you're just being a jerk. So if you're in the habit of doing that, man, reconsider. Like, don't do it. Just reconsider it. Is this really the kind of thing that you want to... Because, I mean, we say, hey, this is a video game. People just need to brush it off. Well, that's true, but for some people, this is like the only time of relaxation they get in the day. I know a lot of guys who, they get 1 hour. They work all day, provide for their families, they work for their kids. They get home and they got to take care of the kids and the wife and the house and all that stuff and mow the lawn. And they get 1 hour before they go to bed to play the game. And you're ruining that 1 hour of enjoyment that they're supposed to have. So I would tell you reconsider. So those are some of my thoughts on the Crucible right now, what it needs in order to be excellent. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Thanks for stopping by, guys, and I'll catch you in the Crucible.